Welcome to our vlog series where Workday project manager Jane Davis and I will walk through the process of evaluating and implementing Workday for government customers. I'm your host, Amy LaHait, director of our client partner team here at Collaborative Solutions. During our last video, we focused on the pre-sales process where we looked at selecting a vendor and preparing for implementation. So today we're going to kick things off by focusing on the second half of the pre-sales process, which is looking at when and how do you engage with vendors. So Jane was a customer and recently joined Collaborative as a project manager, and I'm really excited to have her here today. Hi, Jane.
Hello.
So Jane, in your former role as a Workday customer PM, what steps or activities did you complete prior to releasing the RFP?
Well, obviously there was a lot of preparation and many different activities, but one of the things that I enjoyed the most and I think was one of the most valuable was we started to engage with ERP vendors because we'd had the same system for 28 years, so we didn't know what ERP systems were out there or what there was to offer. So before we got into that formal procurement process, we were able to reach out and have some informal sessions. And so we, as well as contacting the ERP vendors we knew of, which we did a fair amount of research on that too, but we put out something through our procurement department, like an advertisement that, contact vendors that we weren't aware of to at least let them know, hey, we're going to have some sessions, you're welcome to participate too. So it was obviously fair then, and it did bring out some people we'd never heard of, so that was really good. And then during the sessions, what we did was put on like a 1 to 2 hour meeting where the vendor could come in, and usually they brought one of their software experts too, plus like a salesperson, and were able to talk about what their company was all about and give us like a nice high level demonstration of what the software looked like, get a good chance to see the look and feel and what kind of functionality it had at a high level. So that was really nice, as well as being able to ask them a lot of questions that sometimes you can't be so free and talk so casually when you're in the formal process. So that was nice.
That makes total sense too. And why do you think was such a critical part of the process and beneficial for you all?
Well, what happens a lot of times, I have found that people especially in government agencies, spend a lot of time, even several years sometimes, talking about the fact that they need a new ERP system. And so I think the employees and everybody sort of gets tired of talking about it and nothing's happening. So finally, when we did this, it was more real, like, okay, we're actually doing something again. We're going to have some vendors in, we're going to see some software, and it gave the staff an opportunity to get more excited about what was going on in the whole process, because we wanted people to be involved and have an opinion and some input on this. So when they finally got to see some software and meet the vendors, that was really good. And we also had, it helped with the senior sponsorship too, executive sponsorship. They got to see what might work for them as far as reporting and strategic planning and high level stuff. And then our end users, day to day, people in the front lines, they got to see what it might look like from their perspective too. And it also allowed us to build some rapport with the vendors that we knew we could reach out to them again if we had another question or something like that. So that was really, really nice to get to know the people a little bit and see out about them, and also get a look at the software as well, because some of them actually didn't look too much different than our 28-year-old system. And it was like, yeah, I don't know if that's really for us, or, it was impressive to see some of the cloud products that are out there as well. So, there was a whole range of different vendors, and that was very interesting to see and got people excited.
I bet. I think that'd be a great opportunity, and it's a great recommendation too. I'm just wondering how the communications changed after the RFP was released. How did you all handle that?
Yeah, well, what we did, just to be very careful about that, was to cut off all communications several weeks before we released the RFP. So we really had to kind of shut down the meet and greets, and we let the vendors know that too, that once that window of the casual chat was finished, there was no more, we had to go through our procurement department. So that kind of kept us safe there as far as the cone of silence and all those good things.
Mm-hmm. So I guess a good way for us to wrap up today would be also to talk about how you formulated the selection committee and then also decided who was going to participate on that committee.
Yeah, so they'd already started formulating a small committee, but what I quickly realized that it was very HR and finance focused and maybe a couple of IT people there. But the fact of the matter is that even though ERP systems are often HR and finance based, all users are going to use this system. So community development, police, fire, everyone's going to enter their time and get paid and do some self-service kind of things in there. So we wanted to make sure that for buy-in reasons, everybody had a seat at the table as far as in departmental representation went. So we made sure we had somebody from each major area at the table, and they basically could be anything from an admin assistant to a director. Because people use the system in different ways, so they had a different perspective on it. And what we also did that was really successful with our selection committee was do a lot of training activities based around what they would be doing as far as evaluating the software and the partners, because some folks had never even been on a committee like this before, and they were a little bit nervous about it. And also, even if they had been, this was so complex, and some of the written proposals are hundreds of pages long. So we really prepared them as how much work it would be, that it could take them 4 to 8 hours just to read one of the proposals. And we ended up having 8 sets of proposals, so that's an awful lot of reading and work. And they took it really seriously, and they felt very well prepared. So before each activity we conducted, we kind of prepped them and let them know what was coming and what they have to do. And I think having a prepared selection committee that represent all of the areas was like a huge piece of the success of being able to know that we checked off all of our, the things we had to do to make this right and take it very seriously and do it properly.
That's great. Thanks so much for sharing all these really valuable, recommendations and lessons learned today. That's all we have for now. So our next vlog is going to focus on selecting a software vendor and services. So we look forward to you all joining us then, and thanks for listening today.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Jane.